This is a Chevrolet or a GM diesel truck, Duramax. I have no idea what means Duramax, what means GM. I'm not one of those driving American cars, but today I had to install two radios in one of these trucks, and I'm going to show you how I did it. I'm not an installer. Don't take this one as an advice, but maybe you can use as a kind of a tricks and tips. So you see here two antennas. One is a high gain half wave, a no ground plane UHF antenna, then a 3 dB gain, a VHF antenna. So this antenna was provided by the customer, and when I do install like a longer antennas like a VHF one, I use this part of the vehicle, the fender, just because it looks nice when it's aligned with the FM antenna on the other side. So I have some sort of aesthetics, a better aesthetic than people installing the antennas on the fender. I used to install the antennas on the fender, brackets on the fender, but most of the time, a couple of years later, the screws get loose with the VHF long antenna because of vibration, and the customer has trouble with transmit, receive, and all sort of troubles into the FM radio because of missing ground. And I don't like that installation, so we start ordering custom brackets, and I'm going to show you how I did it inside. So let me lift the hood, and right here I've used a custom bracket that goes through a bolt. I did not have a shorter bolt. I'm somewhere on a field, and I've used this bolt to attach it to the fender, and the antenna is very solid. Of course, it has two little self-tapping screws, and here I had to trim this gasket here a bit. So you may have to use different type of brackets in case you cannot find this particular ones. But this one is aligned nicely with the fender. Then here I had to remove this trim, this part, the plastic rubberized plastic. I had to remove it, install a little bit different custom bracket to a bolt which is part of the fender system, and I drilled a hole for the coaxial cable. I never use the coaxial cable in this side, even it's tempting to run the coaxial cable in here, down, and into the engine compartment. But since the cars usually move forward, so if I put this type of connector pointing forward, then it gets water much easier. It gets water and start corrosion into the copper, the grounding, the shield area, and it's only trouble. So I always point this kind of a crimping area, the spheral, backwards. So that's my way of doing it. You don't have to copy this. So again, I went to inside, then I fished it beside the fender. So I have two cables that go through that firewall grommet, and I made some sort of a rain loop or drip loop, put some tie wraps and some silicone inside. You won't see it here. Then let me show you what I did. The cables come somewhere in here underneath, so behind this this panel, and I went up and I ran the two cables somewhere through a split loop together with the power all the way. So I built a harness. Which you see it comes somewhere in here beside the right driver leg or feet, and I ran it underneath. I popped a hole over there, and you see I connected the harness to the radios, and I've used this type of clamshell bracket to put the radios together. So it doesn't look too bad. I don't like it. In the past I've done much better jobs using different brackets. So these are original Motorola bracket, but I tried to allow this opening